Hello there, and thank you for joining me once again at my tying bench. In today's tutorial, I'm going to tie you up another muddler minnow pattern. This is a new pattern to me. I got it out of my new book, The Essential Fly Patterns for Lakes and Streams, by Brian Smith is the author. A lot of good trout patterns in there, and this is the first one I'm going to be tying out of it. And I really like how it turned out. It's a sharp looking muddler. As you can see, it has a little red throat underneath there, and that's to represent gills, and that's just the red thread that we're going to use. So I thought you might like to see this guy tied up, so I'll get him a device, a fresh hook in, and I'll get started here. Okay, and by the way, the name is called the Murray's Rolled Muddler. That's the name of it. Don't know how that name came about, but that's its name. So the hook I'm using is the 79850 mustad streamer hook. I'm going to tie it on a size 6 here. So we'll get that hook locked in the vise, and it calls for red thread, and I'm using Uni 6/0 red. So first thing, like always, I start about 1/4 inch behind the eye here for this muddler. Leave room for the head and the wing here, and we'll wrap a thread base back towards the barb here. Snip off that tag end, and I'll come back to just about above the barb like so. And the tail is simply some natural mallard flank fibers, and you don't want too heavy a tail, so just pull a small amount off. The tail is quite sparse on this fly, and the wing as well, so we'll just measure them up. You want about half the body length. Very long tail on this pattern. Just pinch that on like so, and I'm going to wrap all this material forward, wrap it down so I keep a smooth body. And I'll snip that off right there. And there's a rib on this fly, and the rib is silver wire, so I have some UTC silver brassie wire. Tie that in. We'll catch it underneath here just like so. Wrap back to right in front of our tail. Just gonna make a couple more wraps back on that. Okay, that's fine. Alrighty, now we're gonna come back, bind that down some more going forward, and this is where I want to tie in my tinsel. Now the body's silver tinsel, and I have some silver mylar, gold and silver on one side, gold on the other. I'm going to trim a little point on that, makes it easier to tie in. Okay, and I want the silver side facing down, so when I wrap it, that's the side that's going to show. Okay, snugged it in with 3 or 4 wraps. Now we're going to begin to wrap that back and then forward once again after I get back here. Try to get as smooth a body as possible. So keep wrapping back till you get right in front of the tail. Then we're going to reverse directions here and start wrapping towards the eye. Just one wrap right in front of the next, just like so here. Okay, I'll make one more wrap, then I'm going to tie this guy off. Come around with a couple snug wraps. Snug that down. Now I'm going to wrap forward on it a couple more wraps, and I'm going to fold that back. And my tinsels, I always like to fold them back and lock them in place. That way it's not going to pull out on you. Less chance of it coming apart for sure. Okay. Now we'll take our silver wire and we're going to counter wrap that. Doesn't matter how many wraps, just keep, trying to keep them evenly spaced here, just to make that tinsel body much more durable. Okay, then we'll come up and tie this guy off here, just like so. And I like to wrap back on the wire as well, and we'll helicopter that guy off, and we'll snug all that down with more wraps here. Now I'm building a little bit of the red thread up here because that's going to be the red spot that shows underneath for our gills. Okay. Now the next step is the wing. But before I start that, I'm going to put a little shot head spin on that. On those thread wraps there. If it ever comes out, there we go. Alrighty, now the wing is simply mallard flank as well. There's no underwing. And the way I do it is I'll take a mallard flank feather and I pull down a section about probably 2 hook gaps wide. Then I'll just pull that right off the stem, like so. Well, then you end up with a piece like that. And then I'll just take my fingers. What I do is fold it, thumb and forefinger, and just fold that piece together. And that's going to be our wing. Just like so. Now I'm going to bring that in. You want that wing, the pattern calls for the wing to come back even with the end of the tail, so we'll get that. Come in, tie that down. Just like so. Pull up. I'm going to wrap back on that a little bit. And there's our wing. So I'll come in and snip off that excess there. Okay. And I'll bind that all down. Nice and tight. Alrighty. Okay, now I'm going to start my collar just a little bit ahead of that because we want some red thread to show underneath. Now the collar is different than on a regular muddler. You don't, as you can see, you don't spin it all the way around. You just put the collar on the top and about halfway on the wing. So I have a small amount of deer here in the stacker. Even those tips up. I'll pull that out. You want about half a pencil width, I would say, maybe a little less. Okay. Just gonna cut the ends here, and we'll bring that in. Set that on top, about halfway back on the wing. Now, we're not going to spin this right around the hook, so we're just going to keep it pinched. Pull straight down, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to go through the fibers, lift them up, wrap forward, so that's in there nice and secure. And just take that bunch of deer hair and pull it back with your fingers and bring your thread right in front. Okay, now we got one more section of deer hair to spin. So we'll cut another piece out. This time we're going to spin it this time all the way around the shank. So I'll get a small amount out here. This fly is tied fairly sparse. Even the head, you don't want it packed in too tight. You want it more loosely tied. Okay. I don't want too much here, so I'm just getting out the amount I want here. Not too much at all. Alrighty, that looks about right. Okay, now we'll take this small amount here and set it in front, and we're going to spin this. So I'll come around, a couple loose wraps, pull a little bit, then let that spin, come up around, wrap through, then wrap forward to the eye, and snug that down. That's all there is to the spinning part. So what I'll do now is take my fingers and pull that back just enough so I can get a whip finish in front. Bring my thread up around, 3 or 4 wraps there. Okay, then I'll come in with my whip finisher, just like so here, and we'll get 3 or 4 turns on that. Okay, so whip finish, snug that in nice and snug. And I'll come in and snip off the excess here. Just like so, there we go. Okay, so the muddler's tied. That's all there is to the tying part of it. Now we just have to trim. Now this guy here, he recommends that you cut it into a bullet shape, sort of an arrowhead shape. So I'm not going to use my curved scissors. I'm just going to keep cutting up on an angle. Just like so, towards the collar. All the way around here. Okay. Alright, turn on the side. And you'll see what I mean by here when I trim the bottom, how we left the space there to show the red thread. Normally that'd be covered if it was tying a regular muddler, you wouldn't leave the thread showing, but this particular pattern calls for that. Okay, this is about the longest part of the fly, trimming of course on any muddler, but just bear with me folks. If you have to, just cut a little of that back on the bottom part of the fly so you can see the red thread. I'm sure you can see that now underneath there. Now I'm just going to reach in here and get some of these pieces here that I want cut out. Just like so. Come around. Okay, we're getting her here. Slowly but surely. I mean, it's not the neatest muddler you would see, but that's the way it's supposed to be tied, so. It's not always the pretty flies that catch the most fish, as we know. Alrighty. Now, I just want that head trimmed back a little bit more here. Back into the collar. And we're just about finished. And a little bit there I want to trim out. Alrighty. Couple hairs here and there. And that's how he trims the head on it anyhow. Sort of a bullet shaped head. And there we have it. And that's Murray's rolled muddler. And I think it's quite a sharp looking minnow pattern myself. I'm definitely gonna tie some of these up and put them in my box for this season. So anyhow, yeah, okay. One more step. What I'm going to do is take my head cement and put a little shot on those thread wraps here, just like so. And then I'm going to turn it upside down, and where that red thread is exposed there for the gill portion to represent gills, right there, I'm going to take a little bit of what I did on the first one I tied. I took a little bit of solar bone dry just to make it so those thread wraps are nice and durable under there, and that makes it show up a little more too. Makes them a little shinier, brighter red, and just hit that with the light. Okay, there we have it. Okay dokie, so there's a done deal. Now, like always, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I want to thank you very, very much for watching. And like I always say, if you haven't subscribed yet, and you're just now viewing and you'd like to subscribe, don't forget to hit that good old subscribe button. Appreciate that a whole lot. And until next time, happy tying out there, and I shall see you again soon, folks. So long for now.